So a new Pocket TCG event just dropped yesterday called the Fire-Type Mass Outbreak event, which features a special wonder pick including ArcanineEX and a couple of other Fire-type Pokemon. This event is the perfect opportunity for you if you're just starting out and you're just looking to build a fire deck but you just don't know where to start. In that case, I got you! Here's a couple of fire decks that you can start building right now from this event today. For our first deck, I like to cover the top budget decks that everyone is playing at the moment. It's super easy to build and it doesn't cost too much to be efficient. And I'm talking, of course, the Blaine Deck. It's a pretty fast and aggressive deck that uses Rapidash and Ninetales to deal quick damage across the board, with the added bonus of using Blaine if you want additional firepower. For Rapidash, you are able to deal damage ASAP thanks to Fire main, needing only 1 energy for 40 damage, which is already pretty good for early and chip pressure. On the other hand, Ninetales is known for its explosive power, as Flamethrower deals a pretty good 90 damage for only 2 energy, with the only drawback being that you discard 1 energy at a time every time you use it. Regardless, I think it's still pretty good as it puts a lot of mons in 2-shot range, especially tanky X mons like MachampX or ExecutorX. By using Blaine, both Ninetales and Rapidash are able to deal an additional 30 damage, so this puts Rapidash's Fire main at 70 damage and Ninetales Flamethrower at 120 damage, which of course is enough to OHKO everyone's favorite rat in the metagame, PikachuEX. While this deck excels greatly when it comes to being played aggressively, the main downside of this deck is that it's extremely frail, with the highest HP going to Rapidash at only 100 HP. And this gets even worse with popular water decks floating around like StormyX and ArcanineEX. The other thing that I realized that when I was playing with this deck is that you need to establish yourself and build pressure ASAP, otherwise you'll struggle against those that excel in the late game like Mewtwo decks. The next best thing about this event is that you get the chance to pull ArcanineEX, which has recently been rising in popularity and for good reason. In the current metagame where PikachuEX runs rampant, the best thing about this deck is ArcanineX's potential to one-shot it with Inferno Onrush for just 3 energy. Not only that, players have been choosing ArcanineEX over CharizardEX mainly because Arcanine is a 1-stage evolution Pokemon rather than it being a 2-stage evolution Pokemon. So this means that you are able to hit full power earlier compared to the need to wait an extra evolution to hit your full potential. The best partner to have in this deck would be Moltres-X, as it is the only energy generator for fire types at the moment. This combination allows Moltres-X to set up ArcanineEX quicker thanks to Infernal Dance, generating enough energy for it to access the Inferno Onrush sooner. There's a player called Tauros that ran this deck in a 600-man tournament and managed to score 2nd place, which is pretty amazing. They also added Aerodactyl as a counter to Sabrina if things go south. Normally I wouldn't add 2 Giovannis in a deck, but this works out because it puts Arcanine in a really good position to one-shot other X-Mons like Zapdos-X and even StormyX, which it initially struggles against. If you don't have a Moltres-X like me, you can opt in for a Kangaskhan instead as a wall for you to build ArcanineEX at the back. It'll just take a little bit slower. While this sounds good, the main downside of this deck is that ArcanineEX is inflicted with 20 recall damage every time the move is used. This can be easily covered by the potions in the deck, but at the same time, Arcanine becomes a lot more vulnerable to KOs. Also being at 150 HP, ArcanineEX can still be one-shotted by MewtwoX, CharizardEX, or even a very lucky Marowak-X. For our final deck, we're going to be leveraging the Charizard line that you're able to also pull from this deck. While needing the highest investment out of the 3 decks, CharizardEX boasts the highest firepower but is also the least economical, needing 4 energy to one-shot everything in the game, as for now, thanks to Crimson Storm. In exchange, you also discard 2 energy every time you use this move, so it's pretty slow but equally as devastating. As such, Moltres-X is an essential partner to pump Charizard full of energy for it to consistently use Crimson Storm over and over again. So, the overall game plan is to have Moltres-X sit at the active spot and use Infernal Dance repeatedly on Charizard over and over until it becomes fully set up. Then you are able to switch in with it and start sweeping teams. If you don't have CharizardEX, just feel free to use a non-X version that you can pull from this event. You might not be able to one-shot everything like its X variant, but you can still deal a pretty good amount of damage. And with the added benefit of it not being an X-Mon, your opponent doesn't get 2 points but instead only 1 if Charizard gets knocked out. The biggest weakness of this deck, of course, is that it's extremely slow to get set up. So fast aggressive decks like the standard PikachuEX deck will give it a lot of trouble. And yeah, that's it for me. Hopefully this video has been useful in helping you build and understand fire decks a little bit better. Let me know down in the comments below. If you want, feel free to move and replace some cards in the deck showcase. Just do what you think works best for you. There's actually more to fire type decks like the spicy Santa Scorch deck, but I feel like that's for another video for another time. Anyways, it's getting late. I'll see you guys soon. Alright, get out of here! Scram!